There is a quote that I like that says, "The time will pass anyway. We might as well put that passing time to the best possible use." And it's an Ernest Nightingale quote. And when I heard that quote years ago, I didn't realize how much it would actually apply to my life. I didn't realize how specifically it would apply to my fertility journey. So, what egg freezing taught me about planning for a life I couldn't see yet was the fact that the time was going to pass regardless. And I've had a fertility journey, I guess you could really say like a women's health journey since my early 20s. So, on and off for some years now. But egg freezing, looking back, having made that decision almost 5 years ago, was legitimately one of the best liberated decisions I could have made for myself. My circumstances to making that decision were unique, so I would have rather opted out of the breast cancer journey, but I was grateful to be working in fertility healthcare at the time. I was grateful to have the support. I was grateful to have the optionality. And it was a prompt decision that I had to make. Almost one of those like, okay, I'm at the light. Do I go left? Do I go right? I got 5 seconds before this light turns green. And I believe I made the right decision. Now, my desire for the future, Lord willing, is to not have to use them, like to go that process of IVF. But should I have to, I am so grateful that I have it available. And I don't think many people realize the option to freeze their eggs. It wasn't something that was heavily talked about growing up for me, especially in the Black community. I don't think you commonly see Black women freezing their eggs or talking about freezing their eggs. I do believe within the past 5 years or so, it's something that we have been hearing more and seeing people take that action more. We hit an era where women were dominating and have been dominating. Let me correct myself, have been dominating in the entrepreneurial space, in corporate America, in the job space. And we're seeing a transition from our parents back in the day where they really focused on family building. They had kids, they worked less, the salaries were greatly different, the cost of living was so different. To today, women are out here getting to it, okay? And we're seeing more women choose to become parents later on in life. I'll be 37 in 2 seconds. I say this often and transparently, and I am so grateful that I made this decision almost 5 years ago. The thing about when you choose to freeze your eggs, you freeze your eggs at the health of your age. So the quality, the vitality, it's just more rich. It's higher, and listen, it's not impossible. Even if you choose to make this decision today, if I were to make this decision as a soon to be 37-year-old woman, right? We would just want to look at the testing, what my levels are, what the provider has to say about where my stance is, but nothing is impossible, and I surely don't believe anything is impossible with God, especially if it's a part of his plan for our life. But I'm grateful that it was something that I did back then, because seeing where I am today, seeing the fact that the time still passed, 5 years, it feels like it has been 5 seconds. I cannot believe that was almost 5 years ago. That is really crazy to me. But not knowing the full trajectory of my life, I'm happy that I did something that gave me my power back and it gave me options. This wasn't a decision dependent on any man. This wasn't a decision depending on, the potential of a relationship or a person or marriage or anything like that. Like, this was a decision for me. This was a Renee decision. Now, breast cancer, of course, sped up the need to make this decision because I wasn't 100% sure how my body would be affected by all of the rounds of chemotherapy, radiation, the treatment plan, and everything that comes with that journey. But it was one thing that I felt like I had power over, because when you are presented with cancer or something traumatic that you are at the mercy of it, you don't have so much power or so much of a say. It's kind of like you're just riding the wave to do what you have to do to get better and heal. The thing about freezing your eggs too, excuse me, I think that it gives you time in a sense. And hear me when I say that. I know that there is this idealistic time clock that is mentioned to us in the fertility space with, once again, vitality of health, vitality of your body. As we get older, we know that our ovarian reserve diminishes. So freezing my eggs just feels like that's what it feels like. It feels like the deep breath, you know? And I shared with a girlfriend maybe a year ago or sometime, a year and a half ago. I said, you know what? I think I just recently gave myself permission to decide to become a mom again. I had teetered that fence because if you know a little bit about my journey, my son was a stillborn 8 years ago when I was 36 weeks in my pregnancy. And that did something to me. That scared me. The journey of becoming a mom for the first time, you don't know what to expect. You don't know why I got all these aches and these pains and what is sciatica and why is this like pain shooting in my ass cheek? Like it's just, you don't know what to expect. And we know as women, the journey can be quite challenging sometimes. As Black women, sometimes we're not heard the way that we need to be heard. And you're just praying for like the right doctors, the right situation. You're just praying for the help. You're praying for someone to hear, to understand you, to listen to you. And so going through that first pregnancy to then be at the hospital, emergency C-section, and leaving home with no child because my son quite literally passed away. I had a placenta abruption. I just kind of blocked motherhood out for a very long time. A very long time. And I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that I pretty much put it on the shelf up until a year and a half ago. And that was about 4 years after, maybe 3.5, 4 years after I had frozen my eggs. And when I made the decision to freeze my eggs, because you don't have to make that decision. Women, go through things or get diagnosed quite often, and maybe they're already parents, or, it's optional. But when I made that decision, thinking that I wanted to still keep options for the future. I didn't want to be stripped of my options to potentially become a mom because I didn't know. And one thing my mama taught me, when you don't know, be still. And so the stillness that comes with the clarity, that comes with stillness is what helped me make that decision to say, yes, okay, let's freeze them. I end up doing a double stim, meaning I was double stimulated back to back. So we did 2 rounds of egg freezing immediately before I started chemotherapy. And my eggs are frozen, they are tucked away. And I am so grateful that I made that decision and that choice. I will say today, my reality obviously is different, but even though my reality is different, I feel like I still have that power in that decision. And I pray that, when that time comes, I can naturally go through this process. But even if that is not the case, I am grateful that I had the option and I gave myself that gift. I'm so grateful for that decision. So if you ever want to chat more about egg freezing, I'm your girl. I am here. Working in fertility healthcare to me really just, it like opened up something in me. I've always was a woman for women, but working in fertility healthcare really showed me a different side of desire, love, and compassion. And when you see the things that these couples, these families, the women are going through to become a parent, when you see that firsthand, it just does something to you, especially the ones that have been trying for 6 months, 12 months on end, or even 4 years. Those that have been trying for a long time have this desire, and they're doing everything possible to make their desire a reality. It does something to you inside. It moves you. It's just like, wow. So whenever that time comes for me, only Lord knows when, only God knows his plans for me, I'm grateful. I'm grateful, because to the point of that quote that I shared with y'all, that I just really love it. The time will pass anyway. We might just as well put that passing time to the best possible use. And I love the fact that more companies now are offering fertility benefits through these major employers. I love that they're combining that with the medical benefit. I love that they're giving people optionality. People need options. And if I can just encourage more women to think and consider, like, hey, I may not have a man right now. I may not be married right now. I very much be in my liberator woman era right now, and I'm doing my thing. But if you got the option and you got the ability and you may have the desire for the future, consider freezing your eggs. Because what's the worst that can happen? You have these eggs frozen and you use them 5 or 6 years later to then create your beautiful family if you need to. If you need to. I never, I have so much I can share with y'all. I just never knew that my life was going to go like this. I never knew. I didn't wake up and say, oh yeah, let me freeze my eggs. Like, I knew nothing about any of this really, up until the last 5 years ago. But you know what I did do? I did an egg donation in my early 20s, and I don't think I really knew what I was doing. I knew my why behind that decision at the time, but I just didn't know that it would kickstart this women's wellness liberated journey of life for me. I just would have never expected that. But I'm grateful that I did it. I'm happy that I did it. I regret nothing. And I don't know. We don't know what the future holds. But I do hold that power in that decision I made. So all right, y'all. If you haven't already joined our community, comment, like, subscribe, share this with a friend. If you have any questions about egg freezing, put them in the comments. I will reply. If you're curious, if you don't want to know more details, just let me know. We don't know what we don't know, and sometimes we need to see what somebody else's journey was like and what they experienced to help us get a better understanding, or sometimes even help us make a decision. So yeah, I'm here for the conversation, and until next time, friends, take care. Peace.